Welcome to Dynamo's Dozen, the podcast that we bring you each and every single week, where we talk about whatever may be on our minds, from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between. Never forgetting the talc. And no, Niall's not on the talc at the moment. Niall is back from the sickness, and we are very, very happy to have the shopkeeper back once again. And Niall, we have a hell of a show for people today, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. And hats off to the coach last week, stepping into my seat to do that SummerSlam review with you, Dazzler. So fair play to him jumping on board there. That was pretty cool. Yeah, where do we begin? Certainly a sprinkling of news there. But we also have we're going to bring you This Week in Wrestling, and Ian's going to bring some funny stories from the past as well, and then we're going to look at some notable birthdays. But this week has been quite a quiet week in wrestling, with a few bits and pieces there. All right. But yeah, where do we begin? I suppose we begin where we began the last few shows that have been on. WWE reporting an additional $5 million in improper payments made by Vince McMahon. I'm not sure if this 5 million was on top of the 5 or 6 million that was already confirmed, or if the 5 million is on top of the 12 million that was touted. But we have said now for weeks, haven't we? When you open up this Pandora's box, it's like opening up the Ark of the Covenant in Indiana Jones, really, isn't it? Goodness knows what's
Is
going to
Ted
pop out.
DiBiase somewhere behind the scenes, and is he the real $1 million man that's been the root of all this? Is this just a heel angle? By the way, I apologize. For some reason, I froze there on my side. So
no, it's all good.
I just want to also chime in with shout out to the Dazzler to thank him for last week. I thought he done an absolutely fantastic job breaking down the matches, and it was probably something nice and different for the Dazzler, your protege, to come on Dynamo's Dozen. So fair play, Dazzler, if you're watching, which I know you are.
Yeah, I spoke to him while I was still sick and stuff like that, and he said it was good fun. He says getting to talk about wrestling instead of football for a change. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, so he said he really enjoyed it. Yeah, so hats off to him. He did a great job and stuff like that.
We have, just before we do go, we're going to announce a couple of things here, because obviously we'll see today from the heading. One of the kind of segments that you've implemented, that you brought to the table recently, has been This Week in Wrestling History, and there's been some great feedback from that, actually. And what we thought we would do as well for a lot of the show would be maybe, just because I don't know what you have, which is good. So what we do is we'd spitball about the individuals involved and stuff like that, and maybe have some good memories and stuff. And it's definitely a segment. So it's great, it's great getting feedback from people when they appreciate, a particular segment. But also, and you remember this, Niall, you're an old school Dynamo's Dozen listener and guest, of course, originally. Anyone that's listening that remembers the old audio versions, we're also bringing back an old segment back today, the funny stories from the week, if we all remember. Just random stuff that I've picked out for you to, I suppose, feast your ears on. We'll see where we go from there. So we're going to have a bit of fun with it. But you definitely have some topics that you want to bring up before we get to all that.
Yeah, well, the main one we brought up there was obviously the $5 million that WWE is reporting in improper payments made by Vince McMahon. And again, we probably just this is like a snowball rolling down a hill that hasn't reached the end yet, and it'll be interesting to where it lands. Also, Malachi Black did an interview this week. I think he was on Renee's podcast. And he mentioned about the back injury that he had. You'll notice over the last few weeks on AEW, he's kind of been involved in the House of Black, but he hasn't been wrestling or in ring and stuff like that. That was due to quite a severe back injury that nearly cost him his career.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that this week. So it was an interesting insight. He showed a video of him. He was deadlifting and stuff like that. And then it showed a video of him. He was getting that needle acupuncture kind of work done on that dry needling work done on on his lower back and stuff like that. And of course, based on the style and how he wrestles and stuff like that, it's probably not surprising with his back and stuff like that. But of course, we wish him well in his recovery. Fantastic wrestler. hopefully we one day see the return maybe of Aleister Black. Hopefully,
We
love
will be
that
seeing
music
the
and love that
return.
entrance.
I think you can put in brackets there. I think we'll be seeing a lot of old wrestlers back over the course of the next year.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of talk there. I was reading, I haven't got it here as a topic, but I was reading yesterday that Miro is sounding situations out there and everything and all. So it's an interesting one. And we've said for months and months and months, probably a year or so at this stage, that we know that one Ayatollah of Rock and Roller will definitely finish his career in WWE with a Hall of Fame and a WrestleMania and all that kind of good
Here's
stuff.
hoping so, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Because the rest of it ain't that good, and like, it pains me to say.
Yeah, well, it kind of the situation with him is kind of weird because it kind of feels if he was to finish his career in AEW, it kind of for me it would feel kind of the same as AEW doing the own heart stuff. It just felt a little bit out of place, and some of it I understand, and some of it I don't.
Yeah.
Bit of sad news this week came in. The legendary Gene LaBelle passed away at the age of 89. Most people would recognize him from his judo work with Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. But also he was trained in catch wrestling by Carl Gotch and Lou Thez. He also headed up the NWA Hollywood LA territory. And his last match, believe it or not, was in 1981, August 29th, against one Peter Maivia. R.I.P. to Gene LaBelle.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, anyone, like, some of the stories of him are absolutely legendary. With you know, just type in Judo Gene with Bruce Lee and stuff like that. You know, he knew them all. Just that famous non-story, by the way, for anyone that's watched that shit house of a movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was supposedly based on Gene LaBelle, that he kicked the shit out of Bruce Lee, which anyone that knew Gene LaBelle apparently said he wouldn't be shy of telling you his list of accomplishments and who he beat up, and Bruce Lee never happened to be one of them. And you would think that'd be top of the pile, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
100% R.I.P. He was a true, just a great coach as well, and sounded like a great guy. So
absolutely, but yeah, prayers and condolences to his family, obviously, and his extended family and stuff like that, and anyone else who were involved with him and stuff like that. But sad to see him go, 89 years of age. Obviously, we have to talk about the return of Karion, Kross, and Scarlet, and also how cleverly they put together the little appearance of Dexter Lumis as well on SmackDown. I thought it was really, really good. I thought Karion Kross coming down and absolutely beating Drew McIntyre to bits and stuff like that and all, and just that kind of stare down with Roman and stuff like that. I thought it was really, really good. And
quick one on that, just from your opinion. Now, this is me asking your opinion on this. What isn't that just atypical of how a great booker who gets pro wrestling can set you up for Drew McIntyre failure, which will probably happen after the next pay-per-view, and then going into another big feud with someone who's returned, and then building up those, you know, the returning character, but also making Drew strong. I think it's, you know, because we know what anyone that knows wrestling knows that that's the thought process behind that here.
Yeah, but it's a good thought process as well, because for many years in there, as you remember, guys would come to the end of a feud and they wouldn't know where they're going to go.
Exactly.
They wouldn't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what this does is, not only does it give Drew an idea that he's going into Clash of the Castle, I don't think at this stage they'll make it a three-way. I think they'll keep it as a two-man main event. But he's going into Clash of the Castle against Roman. We don't really expect him to beat Roman.
Exactly.
But what it does is it gives an opportunity maybe to sell a storyline that you can put him into a 3-month storyline down with Karion Kross. So it's very clever the way it's done.
Karion can cost him the match. You know what I mean? Anything,
possibly, yeah.
Any number of possibilities.
Yeah, but it's a real good one as well. And I like the way, I like Karion Kross's look as well. He looks the business as well, and especially with Scarlet, she's $1 million as well. The way she's very shades of sherry, but very, very good.
You're stretching now, Niall. You're stretching. Don't you mention my sherry.
I tell you.
No, she's very good. Very good.
I also noticed, just touch on Raw. I didn't write it down, but just touch on Raw as well. Anyone who's watched Raw this week, we won't spoil it if you haven't watched it, but There was like shades of the Attitude Era off it and stuff like that. I don't know if you picked up on some of that stuff.
There is no, we can say spoiler alert here.
Yeah, but kind of things like where they left a few things hanging, so you have to watch next week. That kind of thing. And that's what built the Attitude Era. So I just thought it was really, really good to see that. And they didn't necessarily bang it out of the park with the ratings and stuff like that. But obviously it was going to be difficult to match the previous week and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we've got a few more people due to come back and stuff like that. But it was really good. I enjoyed watching Raw, and I enjoyed being left hanging because it means I have to watch next week. And once they've solved that, and that's how they have you, then everyone's all in.
Well, that's it. It's a slow build, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a slow build to build towards the ratings. Get your foundations in place, get your house in order, and then the ratings will come. But I think, based off what you were saying there as well, a quick one for anyone that hasn't seen it, go and check out Logan Paul's latest Impulsive with one of the latest ones. I think he does them pretty regularly with Triple H.
Yeah,
very, very interesting show.
Yeah,
great dynamic. I think we've all become Logan Paul fans now. Even if you want to hate him, I think he's quite a likable guy. When you see him on his show, he's the more likable brother of the two. But guess what? I'm a heel podcaster, so I like both of them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Go Jake Paul. And if anyone wants to see Jake Paul as well, he's on one of the latest ones too. Calling people out, which is pretty fun too.
Yeah, they're chasing down your man Andrew Tate, aren't they? Your man Andrew Tate. They want to have a fight with your man Andrew Tate. He wants to put up $3 million or something like that to fight Jake or Logan. I'm not too sure which one, but that'd be interesting. All right. And the banter would be top level because your man Andrew Tate's top of the pile on banter.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, just another one. Dustin Rhodes this week. He's told AEW talents that if they want to go to WWE, to go for it. Which I'm sure wouldn't necessarily please Tony Khan.
Well, his brother's there now, so
yeah, absolutely. So I was just wondering, is this the sound of is Dustin Rhodes about to head back maybe as an agent or something like that or something, and he's going, lads, if you want to head back, I'll be the Pied Piper and you can all follow. Kind of thing,
yeah.
But it was certainly an interesting comment. I didn't look at the whole interview. It might have been taken a bit out of context, but not like Dustin. Dustin's not one to mince his words and stuff like that. If something has to be said, he'll say it. So I like that about him. But yeah, it was interesting. WWE now seems to be the promised land again. The land of milk and honey.
Because the original Black and Gold brand is now the premier brand. And a quick one based on what Dazzler said last week. I'm not one for rumor and innuendo, but it was interesting seeing how much Steph has had such a role in the background there with Hunter and there's a lot of stories coming out as well that she's not been happy with certain things involved in her family and stuff like that as well. So, I would like to see, and will we ever know? Will it be put in a barrel? Will it be like the whole JFK Marilyn
Monroe time capsule things? Yeah, the
Warren
report. Yeah,
the Warren report. There we go.
30 years time.
Who fired the shot? Where was the smoking gun? And who was on the grassy knoll?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just going to leave that hanging in there because Niall, yourself and myself are definitely one for conspiracy theories. We like to have fun with them. So
absolutely,
it's, and we are between two ferns right now. So there we go.
Absolutely. Just another one. Jay White was pulled from New Japan events due to heat stroke-like symptoms. So we wish him well. We hope there's nothing underlining there or like that it is just some heat stroke stuff or something. So we wish Jay White well in his recovery and stuff like 100%. That. I hope he's doing okay and stuff like that. Outstanding.
Big fan wrestler. Of him, actually. Yeah,
an outstanding wrestler. Yeah, absolutely. And then the final one is a kind of an interesting one. I'm not too sure whether it's a curveball or not, but John Cena had confirmed he will not be at WWE's Clash at the Castle event. Which kind of leads me to believe that maybe he will. I'm not too sure.
I mean, it's pro wrestling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh. Yeah. And pro wrestling is definitely back on the marquee again as well. That's for sure. So that's all I have news wise. I don't know if you've had that. It has been a fairly slow week. in terms of crazy news. I think just people are kind of hyped to see where this whole McMahon Hemsley era goes now and stuff like that, you know. So it's exciting times. I know, even talking to Darren on the trip into works and stuff like that, we get very excited again about the likes of Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that, and we're heading over to Clash at the Castle as well, which should be interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's you'll have to add me into that group actually, because I'm actually super excited along with both of you.
Yeah.
It's something that you kind of haven't felt in a long time, and it's really nice to kind of have that excitement about pro wrestling again, and for us to be able to actually have a smile on our face. You know, we always have a smile on our face when we're bringing pro wrestling news, but we have a proper internal belly smile as well, which is
there's nice. There's a nice balance there at the moment as well, isn't there? Because there's been so much shit going on as well with the Vince and stuff and all that. And you know, we've gone through all the dark side of the rings and all this kind of stuff and everything else. It's nice to have something to smile about wrestling. Go, you know, wrestling's kind of back, if you like. You know what I mean? And it's better for it, and it's amazing it's after going through all this wave of shite to get to where it needed to get to. But sure, look,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Why don't we, before we talk more wrestling, why don't we do some funny stories from the week, and then we can finish on the title of the show, because we do like to say the main event. You know, there's a lot of listeners there going, "Oh, you're just throwing me a curveball, so I stay for the whole show and watch to the end." Well, look, if you don't want any funny stories, or you don't want any joy in your life and watch the two of us laugh, well, then you can always skip to the end and you can get to the title. But we run this like an old school pro wrestling show. Main event.
Absolutely. And we want to say, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. The like button is so important now. Make sure you're lighting up those likes. I don't want to check out this show later on and find out that we had 240 views and we've got 5 likes. I want to see at least 50% of likes there. Like, so important.
Let's put a challenge out there and try and get this show to about, say, what we say is a reasonable number. Let's aim for 20, and then for the rest of the lot of you, see if you can add to it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
No, don't make me go Scott Steiner with my mathematics here now. All right.
Yeah.
Right, Niall. I have some. Well, these are funny stories from the week, but I always like oddities. So some of them aren't funny. Some of them are actually just ironic and very strange. I promise there's no conspiracy.
Timing's everything in wrestling, isn't it?
Timing's everything in wrestling here. And just as we find our love for pro wrestling again, even though we've always loved pro wrestling, but just as we find ourselves enjoying pro wrestling again, here's a headline: Texas man's lost ring found by another Texan on a Florida beach. This is interesting, man. This is happenstance and circumstance. So I'll read this one, right? A Texas man who lost his wedding ring at a Florida beach was reunited with his precious item after it was found by another Texas family visiting the same beach. Dallas resident Chris Ramirez said he was visiting a Fort Lauderdale beach with his family and decided to remove his wedding ring for safekeeping. Quote, the water was a little choppy, so I decided to take my ring off and put it in a diaper bag. I mean, what are you doing? While moving from there, we were sitting back to the resort. The ring somehow fell out. It ended up in the sand. So I thought it was definitely a long, what was it? Okay, Ramirez said he reported the missing ring at a nearby hotel after he was unable to find it. I thought it was a long shot. I knew I lost it at the beach, and I thought there's no way that this is going to come up. There's just no way. So here is this person, Scarlet Duffy of Mansfield, Texas, was visiting the same beach with her family when she came across something in the sand. I was walking along the beach and I was looking down and I saw a gold ring in the sand, said Charlotte. See, we're old school. We get the papers here.
Jesus.
Duffy said she decided to try to find the ring's owner, but her daughter, Latosha, was skeptical. I was like, this is 1 in a trillion that you'll find whose ring this is. Charlotte contacted the hotel, the hotel was able to put her in touch with Ramirez. The families were surprised to learn that they're both from North Texas. Small world indeed, Charlotte said. And Ramirez is obviously grateful to Duffy for making the effort to return his ring. The biggest lesson outside of losing your ring is that don't lose it, and knowing that there's still good people out there. They're willing to pay it forward and help each other. So what do you think? That's a mad one, isn't it?
What's the chances of a Texan losing a ring on a beach in Florida and another Texan family finding it? Yeah, it's 1 in a million, isn't it?
That probably wouldn't happen in a lot of places, to be fair. Now here is a funny story. Now we can converse on this one. Here's a headline. This is from the Florida Troopers. Drunk woman drove golf cart on Florida highway. So the name of this place in Florida is great as well. It's Titusville. I was going to say Titusville because there's only one T, but you know,
Titus. Yeah,
you could say Titusville if you wanted to be funny, if you're not familiar with the place, but it is Titusville. A woman with an open bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey in a bag was arrested for driving a golf cart on Florida's busiest interstate while drunk, according to an arrest report. The 58-year-old woman was arrested Saturday night on the shoulder of Interstate 95, which you probably know well from being over in Florida. Yeah. It's a very fucking busy interstate.
Absolutely.
She's now facing misdemeanor charges of disorderly intoxication in a public place and resisting an officer without violence. According to a Florida Highway Patrol report, a semi-truck driver spotted the woman driving in the golf cart in the center lane of Interstate 95 in Brevard County, which is the heart of Florida's Space Coast. So I know the area.
Brevard County, I know.
Yeah. The truck driver advised she observed the driver of the golf cart passing out while driving. The truck driver also said the driver used her semi to steer the golf cart to the shoulder of the interstate, basically trying to guide the fucker off the road. Once on the hard shoulder, the truck driver grabbed the keys to the golf cart as the woman tried to drive away. Once troopers arrived at the scene, the woman started arguing with them, insisted she needed her bag. Inside the bag, troopers found an open bottle of Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire Whiskey. Nice. Interstate 95, which stretches up and down the East Coast, is Florida's busiest interstate highway, according to the Federal Highway Administration, which we know. This is incredible.
I'm not surprised at all. I have a story to go with that from golfing in Florida. But I'll tell you in a minute. But that doesn't surprise me at all, because what happens when you golf in Florida? When you're in the golf buggy, there's a GPS system up on a big screen. And what happens when you get to around the 8th tee, as you know, you play 9 holes and it tends to bring you back to the clubhouse.
Sure.
Then you play 10 to 18 and it brings you back to the clubhouse. So it's like 2 loops. But in when you're playing in Florida on those courses, I've played on a few of them. When you get to the 8th hole, up pops the menu. So on the menu, you order like your steak sandwich and whatever you want. But you can order all the gargle that you want. You can have your buds. You can have. We lived on Crown whiskey when we were over there. It's a
Crown Royal.
Crown Royal. It's beautiful. Magic. So
it's beautiful.
What happens is you put in your order, you punch in all your order, and then when you come up to the 10th tee, this lad walks out with this big huge box, takes the empty box off the back of your buggy, and puts the box on. And the box has a heater place on one section for all your food, your hot dogs, your steak sandwiches, whatever you wanted. And on the other side, it has a cooler box in there, and you have your whiskeys and your beers and all that kind of stuff. So by the time you get to the 18th, you're pretty palladic and trying to hit a golf shot. But we were playing anyway, and we had got to about the 14th. We were playing on the Jack Nicholson Championship course. And it was kind of like it was like a links course, but it wasn't. It was kind of sandy, you know. So we were in these golf buggies, and of course you're getting a bit sort of like at this stage we're doing whiskeys and cigars and the whole lot and all. This is the real American golf experience.
Oh yeah. I saw an alligator and I just decided to keep grabbing.
This is where we're going. So we finished off on a hole and we were going down a kind of a loop, down a little loopy kind of hill to go to the next tee box. Well, we came hurrying down that hill. We came flying down it, right? Slammed on the brakes. Here's an alligator in the middle of the path, the middle of the car path, sunning himself. And we slammed on the brakes, slid right up to the alligator. He gave the buggy a smack and he ran off into the swamp. Well, to tell us that we sobered up so quick, it was unbelievable. But it was hilarious. Shout out to the lads from Upright and stuff that they went on holidays. We were over there playing golf in Florida, and it's unbelievable. We just came down this path, and the buggy behind us with the other 2 boys with us slammed into the back of us. But the fright that we got, you know what I mean? And this, you just don't expect it, but it was crazy, you know what I mean? And it's like, when you pop your ball into a lake over there, you don't even go looking for it. You just leave it and reload and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some of the videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you told me that one about her driving, and the thing about it as well is in a lot of the golf courses over there at the moment, they're kind of built into housing estates. So you could have like 2 rows of those lovely bungalows that you see, or dormers that they have there with the swimming pools and all. And up the middle of them, you could have a fairway. And what happens is, what they do is they build the golf course, and then they build all these luxury houses all around the golf course, and that's how they design it and stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that if you drank half a bottle of Jack Daniels, that you could easily drive out the gate of the golf course without realizing, thinking that there's a hole across the road, and before you know it, you're on an interstate. So like it's not surprising at all, but absolutely hilarious. Yeah.
Power to this woman, you know, on the old fire whiskey too.
Maybe she won. Maybe she won the competition that day or something.
Yeah, you know, well, look, as long as she kept the winnings, I mean, she probably only had to need to spend the one night in the can, like, you know what I mean? And look, for anyone that's not been to Florida, or for anyone, you know, like literally when you go anywhere near the parks, which is why everyone goes to the parks, it's literally everywhere it's fenced off, because this is swampland. You know what I mean? And it's alligator country. Yeah. Right, we've one more before we get to the you know, to the meat and gravy of all. This is one for all you gamblers out there, right? Scammers arrested after live streaming a fake IPL, which is a cricket competition, from Farmers Field to con gamblers in Russia. Now, I know a lot of people are into their, you know, DraftKings and betting these days and stuff like that, and sports betting. And, you know, a lot of people will bet on whatever sport it is just for a punt. Well, according to reports, laborers and local unemployed people were hired to masquerade as players and created fake team names with the players wearing official IPL kits. The elaborate hoax saw the con men hire a farmer's field in Gujarat, wherever that is. Okay, you'll probably tell me later, and set up cameras to film the bogus games. According to reports, laborers and local unemployed people were hired to masquerade as players and created fake team names with the players wearing official kits. Mention that. The games were then streamed live on YouTube to unsuspecting betting operations in Russia, right? So it's India, actually. Those darn Indians. The Times of India reported that a local man who could do a good impersonation of a commentator, Harsha Bogle, must be a top dog over there in India or something, was brought in to add authenticity to the footage. Crowd noise, sound effects downloaded from the internet made the ambience appear authentic. Akal Tyagi, the top police official in the Masana district, said 4 men have been arrested in connection with the hoax. They had umpires with walkie-talkie sets to officiate, as they have in the IPL and international cricket matches. The setup was good enough to trick unsuspecting people into believing that it was a genuine cricket league. Mr. Tyagi said the umpires were telling players whether to score runs or get out, depending on the instructions they were given on the walkie-talkie sets received from the organizers, who in turn were receiving instructions from an accomplice in Russia on the Telegram app. Telegram is a great one. Telegram, because nobody follows it. Betting on cricket is illegal in India, and the 4 men arrested have been charged with criminal conspiracy and gambling. The IPL, the world's richest T20 league, was embroiled in its own illegal betting scandal in 2013, which led to 2-year suspensions for its Chennai and Rajasthan franchises. That is, I thought I'd put that one last, because that is a set of balls. Like, that's actually more set of balls than driving down the interstate, you know, with a bottle of Jack Daniels, because at least you have an excuse. This is soberly done and actually gone. Let's go to the Russians, because they can't see much at the moment. So we'll try and get their money.
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
I don't know whether I'd sleep well at night knowing that I've done Russians out of their money.
Yeah.
That could come back to haunt you somehow.
Especially in India too, because they're not that far away.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Not being funny, but
they wouldn't be as well versed either in terms of combat. No, I would. That's not where I would be going if I'm trying to scam money from illegal betting or something like that.
yeah,
It's an interesting
you're
one.
aiming towards Ireland, possibly, because
It's
we just
mad.
go.
Isn't it mad how they come up with these ideas like that? Like some guy somewhere said, "I'm gonna get a field. I'm gonna turn it into a cricket pitch.
A
I'm gonna
farmer's field,
I'm gonna turn it. I'm gonna get locals in to act as cricketers with kits on them. I'm gonna get a top level guy in who commentates to legitimize it. I'm gonna pipe in sound, and then I'm gonna get Russians to gamble on it. Oh my god!
Brilliant,
Oh my god.
brilliant.
Listen, if he nearly got away with it, hats off to him. But
yeah. I'd be watching me back and maybe hoping for prison time there on that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Well, that's enough from our reintroduction of funny stories from the week, which I think people will enjoy. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comment section if you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it and you can't be arsed commenting, what did Niall say earlier? Just click the like button.
Costs you nothing. Costs you nothing.
Costs you nothing. Right.
Yeah.
On to the main event, brother.
Yeah. So this week in wrestling.
Yeah.
I'll get the bad news out of the way first, so we keep this positivity going. Unfortunately, 2007, we lost Brian Adams, known as Kross. He passed away this week in 2007. Also, Lance Cade in 2010.
Yeah,
passed away this week as well. Really unfortunate as well. Loved Cade and Murdoch as a team. They were really cool and stuff like that. And of course, Hall of Famer and multi-time tag team champion Jim the Anvil Neidhart as well passed away this week in 2018. So thought I'd get them.
Tough one. Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah.
99. This week in 99, you'll remember well because we had the debut on Monday Night Raw of the sexy beast himself, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, Chris Jericho, made his debut this week on Raw in 1999.
Wow.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
What a day.
23 years ago. 23 years ago.
I mean, has to be, like, we can talk about that for a minute. That has to be one of the best and most iconic debuts of all time, doesn't it? I mean, you've got the Brahma Bull in the height of his, fame and popularity, and being one of the most over, if not the most over,
made tracksuit, wife beaters, and baby oil famous.
and those African church shirts.
Yeah,
and
the shades as well. I have the rock shades. I still have a pair of them in the shop.
Actually. And brought back the Elvis chops before there was an Elvis movie made. By the way, for anyone that hasn't watched the new Elvis movie, by the way, go and check it out. It is absolutely fantastic. Jericho, I mean, that was one. I mean, it was one that the dirt sheets kind of knew about. It was unfortunate, but they played it so well. And my God, coming out and doing the face, and this is where we had
the hair was up, and it was brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic.
And isn't it amazing when people talk about the GOAT conversation, and he's been mentioned in that conversation? That's 23 years ago, and the man is still going at it, still reinventing himself, still trying to get talent over, still trying to bring AEW to another level, all that kind of stuff. So when they do talk about the GOAT, that was 23 years ago. And that wasn't the start of his career, remember, because he WCW and all the territories and everything else and all. Yeah, so when they do talk about the GOAT, I've no problem at all with Chris Jericho being in that conversation.
32-year career with not a whole lot of time out, even when you factor in the Fozzy runs.
Yeah, absolutely. 1976. I was 4 years old. You weren't even around at that stage, I would say.
I don't even think I was taught about.
Yeah. The man who would go on to become Hulk Hogan had his first professional wrestling match against none other than B. Brian Blair. This week.
Can we get it right? The man that is the greatest thing to ever happen to the world of professional wrestling. The man that made wrestling. B. Brian Blair, a friend of the show, by the way. He's been on the show. Hogan made his debut, and it was under Gagne, I'd imagine.
I would have thought so. 1976 and B. Brian Blair at that stage. And again, I was 4. I'd have to go back and look at that, but it would have been somewhere down around there, all right, I would imagine. Yeah, absolutely.
AWA, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say he would have been as raw as hell. But
is that when he had the little diamond patch of
I don't think he had that yet. I don't think it's the one where he had the real. Remember the other tash and stuff like that and all. I'm not too sure.
Just had the diamond patch on his chest.
Yeah, I'd say if this was his debut with B. Brian Blair, I'd say he was probably fairly fresh faced and stuff and all. Like, but yeah, it might go back. Maybe it's on YouTube. We could go back and look at it.
Brian Blair would be it'd be interesting to get Brian Blair on the show again, actually, and talk about what it was like to work with like a legit 6'7" Hulk.
Yeah, absolutely. I should say we no bother to Brian Blair at all. That mullet and that mustache and everything that literally nearly never changed in 40 years.
One of wrestling's legit tough guys that isn't even spoken about. I mean, we've all heard that epic fight with him and the man who played Doink. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
2003, we arrive at next. Raw co-general manager Eric Bischoff was forced to face the recently unmasked Kane one-on-one this week on Raw in 2003. 2019. This is one that won't impress Jay, friend of the show. Shout out to Jay. Bray Wyatt's new alter ego, The Fiend, made his in-ring debut at SummerSlam against our friend of the show, of course, Finn Balor. And that was an interesting one to say the least. 1988. I'm bringing you back to now. 1988. This is wrestling royalty we're talking about here. But Kurt Hennig and Owen Hart both made their WWF TV debuts this week in 1988.
Jesus, that's mad, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Until what two talents they were.
It's hard to just to speak about them for a minute, like, because you've just mentioned two of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Absolutely.
And two that sadly aren't with us anymore. But when you think about it, two Rivers, when you hear the stories as well. But I mean, absolutely. 1988, Owen was he 34 when he passed in 1999? So he would have been very young. Good Lord.
So 11, 34, he would have been 23.
Yeah, made his debut as obviously the Blue Blazer.
The Blazer, yeah.
Jesus, sad to think he made his debut as the Blue Blazer and then went out as the Blue Blazer when that's actually kind of. I thought you were giving me the sad news at the end, but that's my fault. That's how my brain works.
Well, you see, this was their debuts. This wasn't their passing. So that was good news.
It is good news. It is good news.
Yeah, but it's a weird one that it went full circle, isn't it?
I don't think you'll ever see two talents as unique. I mean, you look at Owen. He was 5'9", but like built like a heart.
He was 5'9" wide as well as 5'9".
Yeah. But like Hennig, man, I was only watching some stuff with Hennig there recently. I can never get bored.
No.
But isn't it crazy before he got his Lloyd's of London thing, how he was 6'3", built. I mean, he was 260 probably legit. And he literally moved like a 5'9" guy, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing for a guy of his stature to be still regarded kind of around that intercontinental kind of area, you know, that kind of way.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, he was one that could have been a legit top star and stuff like that. Only for the politics and the timing, I would say, of his introduction. But he was absolutely outstanding. And listen, every couple of weeks we still go back and watch those great vignettes he did as Mr. Perfect and all. Unbelievable and stuff like that. Some great stuff. Some notable birthdays for this week as well. 1928. Jay will be happy with this as well. Lord Alfred Hayes.
Oh, plague of my life, Gorilla.
Yeah. Also, Shayna Baszler, 1980. It's her birthday this week as well.
Shayna Baszler was 1980?
1980, yeah. Apparently Shayna Baszler, yeah.
She's old. Fuck me, man. She's got 4 years on me.
Yeah, apparently so. I hope that's right now, but that's what it says. So
Shayna, if it's not right, don't beat the shit out of me.
Send me a PM. You can give me a hard time. Alexa Bliss, 1991. Savio Vega, 1966. Another guy we know well from the Irish saying Wade Barrett, 1980. And the man himself, Hulk Hogan, 1953. when the savior of pro wrestling was born. Absolutely. We mentioned them up above as well. 1970, Spike Dudley. Who we have to remember. And we've already mentioned Brie Brian Blair. So it'd be a shame this week if we didn't have a birthday. 1949, Jumping Jim Brunzell.
See what we did there. We
put that connection together. But there you go. That's
like clockwork.
That's our notable birthdays in this week in wrestling.
Amazing. I think we should finish off by congratulating the great Ric Flair on his last match, if it is to be his last match. I know he made a bit of a boo-boo at the end and said, "This is one of my last matches," while he was on the outside.
I seen a picture the other day, the last match too, and it's him and your man Gage, you know, that guy from CZW or whatever it is. They're going, good Lord.
Christ, no. I think I'd take a flight over myself and kill that guy. If that was
What was your overall thinking on it? I haven't watched it fully yet, but what I'm hearing coming through is if you were in the crowd and you were there live, it was kind of really, really good. If you were watching it kind of on your own at home or you were streaming it, it didn't sit well with people at all. And apparently, he booked the match from start to finish, which wouldn't be surprising, really. It's his last match. But the talk that came out of it that I heard was that maybe he put in too much time in the actual physical match itself. And that kind of dragged the quality of it down. Now, you've watched it, so you can comment better than me.
I think that's just people looking for something to clutch at straws. Look, I respect people's opinions, but I respectfully disagree. I was entertained for the whole match. He took a bit of a beating, which you would expect an old man to do.
No, we would not expect an old man to do. You mean?
Well, this old man to do. Sorry, let me rephrase
absolutely,
that. From this particular old man to do. He garnered the sympathy from the crowd. I mean, obviously, we knew he was going to blade like a motherfucker. I used to laugh when Flair would say that WWE were right to stop blading. You talk so much.
I did see the speech outside the ring afterwards, after the match had finished and stuff like that. And he was just like something out of an old school horror. And I was just looking at it going, what in God's name did they do to him in there? And how did they not advise him a little bit better?
To be honest with you, like the two boys absolutely took care of him. That was Flair's body, you know, him pushing his body to places that no 2-year-old should push their body to.
Yeah.
But Jarrett was, oh my God, he was on fire. He was coming out, taking people's beers off them and fucking it in their face, challenging people to punch him while he was literally right at their face. His work was just absolutely genius. And look, the two boys love Flair, so they took care of him. Yeah. Andrade was a good piece in there as well. He took a lot of the brunt. Yeah. Listen, you've probably seen highlights of the match, right?
Briefly, I haven't seen a whole lot of it at all.
Go and watch a 72-year-old man, right, that might not be able to take the bumps and all that he used to take. And there wasn't lots of bumps in it. They took care of him. They took care of him. But watch his punches. Be amazing for young fucking wrestlers now, both male and female, to sit back and watch a 72-year-old throw punches the way Flair did on the night.
It's muscle memory, really, isn't it?
Oh,
He's been doing it for 50 years.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And you know what? It was the right way for it to end. I was still unsure about it the whole, time. I didn't know what I was going to get that night. But by God, as Jim Ross would say, it was, for me, and maybe look, I'm a little bit different to the people that were watching it. I'm invested. Flair is one of my guys.
Absolutely.
To see, Brett, Foley and Taker, sitting on the outside at the start of the match as well was really cool to see. Taker, by the way, how good does he look? He literally looks like he's in 1999 again. He just looks absolutely fantastic. Brett looked great, for a 60-odd-year-old man. Foley always looks great. Because he doesn't really need to. There's no standard that he set for himself.
yeah.
But it was a spectacle. I thought it was fantastic seeing, you know, Tony Schiavone, the commentary team, and all throughout the night doing a fantastic job. The setup that they had in the corner, where it was like the old, like you would love it. You would love the setup, the way they had the old Crockett setup.
Yeah.
And word on the street is that apparently, you know, the Crockett's and Conrad are looking to maybe do something with this.
Yeah, I seen an interview with Conrad, all right, saying he really enjoyed promoting the show and being a wrestling promoter and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But
there was a fuck up, though. There was a fuck up, and I hate to call it out. Oh, but god damn it, I've got to do it.
Yeah.
At the end, when Flair was out just before he was about to do his speech, or somewhere in between, there was a moment where there was a boo-boo and someone in production fucked up and said, "We need all the talent around Flair. All the talent around Flair. I repeat, we need all the talent around Flair."
And it came true.
Oh, man, it came true. And it was actually my missus, who was obviously well-versed in the arts of pro wrestling. I mean, how could she not be living with me? The fact that she's put up with it for 7 years is the real, you know, miracle. But there was that situation, and it's only then at the end you realize all the talent are behind Flair, and it's like, oh no. But look, for a first show from Starcast, they put on a hell of a weekend. The roast was fantastic. I mean, they were, put it this way: if you feel woke and you watch this show, I don't know how you're still watching the show if you're listening to me and Niall and you're woke, but you might not identify as woke, and that's cool. But if you're in any way like a little bit sketchy about your feelings being hurt, do not watch the roast, because it's in Nashville, Tennessee, and there's lots of, you know, racial jokes and stuff like that are just jokes, you know what I mean? But there's jokes that probably cut to the bone a little bit, even ones that made me go, ooh, I don't know whether I'd be even going there.
Yeah, those roasts are so dangerous, aren't they? Because you just don't know what you're going to get. I just hope it's his last match.
No, 100%. Because I mean, I'll be honest with you, my missus actually even said it at the end, and maybe that's what came across as uncomfortable for people. Like, it looked for about 10 minutes, it looked like he couldn't get up, but I was like, he's just working. He is just working.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right that he was just working, because in fairness, he was out at the ring and able to put a speech, and he said, "Everything you've heard about me is true. We're going to party tonight." So I think I was right. And I think, again, you can still work if you're 100 years old. Maybe not in the ring having a match, but you can probably take a punch and work that punch. And I think that's what Flair did. I think he put his absolute heart and soul into it, knowing that it's his last match. And I think that
I like Dutch Mantel's comments on it. Dutch Mantel said it was 2022 Ric Flair who thought he was back in 1986.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, I have to say, I said it at the, you know, I said it to you the last time. Look, I knew that the glue in this whole match was going to be Jarrett, and that's no disrespect to Andrade or any disrespect to oh fuck Jesus, Lethal. But Jarrett is the veteran in there after the veteran, and he was going to be the guy that was going to create that animosity and tell that story, you know, both at home and on camera. So look, they made the best out of a situation that you could with a 72-year-old man in there, you know.
Absolutely.
But he's not any 72-year-old man. I mean, good Lord. Wouldn't you like to have pythons like that when you're 72?
He's the 72-year-old man.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus, most people would like pythons like that now. Forget the skin hanging. That doesn't matter. Like, this guy has lived a life, and But if it is the last match, I don't think it's it better be the last match.
It'd be very difficult to go out and do it again, wouldn't it? And sell it to people and stuff. Like, you had Taker there, Brett there, Foley, DDP.
Couldn't do it.
All those guys traveling did it. You'd be sort of you'd be kicking dirt into their face, really, if you tried to set up a second one and stuff like that.
Well, you would, especially those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it look very much like a money grab as well. So it's just, you know, that's it. No need dropping any Rolex watches or anything like that and relaunching the career. Don't think what you've done, you've done. Your career is done. Sail off out there. Enjoy the rest of your life. If you want to get involved in wrestling, do something backstage, or for the younger crowd coming through, set up a school or do something. Or if you still want to be a little bit involved, but don't do that again. There's no need for it.
No, it did. Like, I'm not going to lie, during the match, it definitely gave me certain moments of palpitations, you know what I mean? But like I said, I knew he was in good hands with Lethal and Jarrett, and I don't think that was ever the problem. I think it was always going to be the case of, can we not just get a 10-minute match?
Yeah, look, it's very difficult at 72 to have given your life to wrestling and have one last match and sail off. God knows what the emotions it was for him that weekend and stuff like that. No, I can't imagine it. But just like you know,
there was lots of great stuff on the outside, like Jarrett going out and pushing his daughter and all.
Yeah,
and then pushing Conrad. Yeah. Like, he pushed Conrad in the face, like, and it was like, and that's kind of what made it. Like, if people didn't enjoy that, then I really don't think people enjoy or understand maybe the work in pro wrestling, because we talk about Spring Stampede, which is one of the greatest main events of all time, and we saw Stone Cold Steve Austin throwing the drink on Stu, you know what I mean? You know, an 80-plus-year-old man at the time, and that. So, like, Jarrett's, it was old school work within the match. Like, I think you will enjoy watching certain elements of it.
Yeah.
And we know Rick didn't die in the ring, so that's kind of what we all wanted out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though he was probably okay with it, but we weren't.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't need to see that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just glad it's done.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But a great show itself, and it'd be great to see Conrad and the Crockett's maybe
do something.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. 100%. And it's great to see Tony Schiavone back on point. He was the man that night. But yeah, I think that's about all we have time for this week, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
cover quite a bit.
Yeah,
bit of fun. Quite a week. Hopefully, we'll have a busier week next week, and there'll be a lot more and stuff like that. And hopefully next week in wrestling we won't have too many passings to report on. It'll be more uplifting kind of stuff. And listen, they've hooked us. We're hooked in. We're ready for SmackDown and Raw. We're in.
No pun intended. We are all in, but not necessarily in the way you think.
Absolutely.
No, it's been a pleasure. And like Niall said earlier, the likes are one of the most important things to us at the moment. Your views are always
welcome.
Appreciated and welcome. And tell a friend, tell a phone, don't telegram, but you can if you want. But actually tell on Telegram, no one will see you. So go for it. We really do appreciate the support. Obviously, there's been some slow weeks where we've had great views and some where they've been kind of quieter views. But we really need the likes, because everyone that knows that the YT, I'll go redime, is very important to us. See what I did there, Noel?
I did.
So we do really appreciate it. Here's the dog to say hello. But yeah, no, 100%. We really appreciate all the support. We hope you enjoyed the show this week. We've done something a little bit different. We're going to do this for you, especially when they're quieter weeks, because I think some of those funny stories are hilarious, and most definitely one of my favorite segments is This Week in Wrestling. So 100% from me and Niall. We appreciate each and every one of you. So until next week, for me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, for the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan, we are over and out.